Welcome to lesson 26. We are working with decimals and division again, and lots more comparison. The last couple of lessons we've been really kind of comparing the difference between the division if you've got a larger dividend where your decimal place means that your value of the numbers is actually larger than if the value of your numbers is smaller. And then also too in relation to your divisor, depending on where your decimal place is and what that effect has on your answer, on your quotient. This one's kind of interesting that we're starting with. It says to create two whole number division problems that have a quotient of 9 and a remainder of 5, and then justify which is greater using decimal division. So I'm just going to kind of throw this out here. We're going to get a color. I'm going to go for, let's go for pink this time. So we're going to have two division problems. We know that. We also know that the answers are going to be 9, remainder 5 in both cases. So I can choose whatever I want over here for my divisor. I'm going to use a 10 for one of them. I'm going to use an 8 for the other one. And we're going to have a 9 remainder 5 in both cases. 9 remainder 5. Make that more of an R. There. In this case, we're going to do it backwards. I know that 9 times 10 is 90, but I have a remainder of 5. So that means that inside here, it's going to be 95 is what we're going into. And so here's what it would look like if we're actually going to work the problem out. 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 1 is 9. Oh yeah, we knew that already. We knew 9 times 10 was 90. And then we find the difference. It's a 5. And that tells us right there how we get that. Now let's take a look at this one over here. 9 times 8 happens to be 72, but we have this remainder of 5. So the 2 is not going to stay a 2, is it? It's going to become a 7. So this is going to be 77. Now if we go 9 times 8 is 72. Here's your 7. Here's your 2. We know the difference is a 5. 5, 6, 7, remainder of 5. So now it's telling us to figure out which one is greater using decimal division. So I'm going to try and scroll in on this so we can have some more space, have some more room. Make our problem be in this area. Go like this. And this time around, I'm going to go ahead and use the serious. I'm going to use black. There we go. So this time around, we're doing decimal division. And remember, we were going 10 into, let's see, what did we have again? We had 95. 10 into 95. And we knew the answer was 9, which got us 90. 5 here. But decimal division. Let's go ahead and say, we'll make it tenths. 10 into 50 tenths. So remember, the place value has to come straight up. I know that 10 times 5 gets me 50. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. Here's your 50. So 9.5 is the answer we get for this one. Now let's look at this one. Here we have 8, and it's going into 77. And we know it goes in 9 times for sure, which is 72. 9 times 8 is 72, because 10 times 8 is 80. And so 2 plus 8 would get us there, so we're short by one set of 8, so that's a 9. And now when we find the difference, we know the difference again is going to be a 5. Now let's go ahead and do the decimal with a 0. Bring your decimal straight up too, so it puts the 9 in the ones place. And I know that 8 times 6 gets me pretty close, because 8 times 6 happens to be 48. And I know if I add 2 to 48, it gets me to 50. Now let's do it again. Let's bring down another 0. Now we're at 20. And I know 3 times 8 is 24, so that's too much. So we'll go 1 less than that. We'll go 2 times 8. And I know 2 times 8 happens to be 16. Find the difference. I know that if I add 4 to 16, it gets me up to 20. So 4. Now we bring down another 0. I see a math fact here. I know that 5 times 8 is 40 exactly. So now there's no difference between there. So which one is more valuable? So if you have 9 remainder 5 in this case, and we take a look at using this decimal checking method, that this 9.5, this 9 remainder 5 is actually 9.5. This 9 remainder 5 happens to be 9 6/10 instead of 9 5/10. So this one right here is actually the one that's bigger. We'll make it all fancy pants. There we go. All right, so now we're going to cruise on to the next problem. Let's bring this a little more in range. This one, let's go ahead and cruise to number C, letter C. So here we have, and it's telling us at the top here to divide and then check our work with multiplication. So we're actually doing real deal division. I'm going to do D. So I have 1, 2, and 1800 divided by 29. So we can kind of do some of that estimation stuff like we've been doing. So let's do a skip count. I'm going to round it up to 30 easy because that's really close. I know 3 times 1 is 30, 3 times 2 is 60. Oh, let's just go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and then throw our zeros on there. Okay, so we can't go 29 into 12 because it doesn't fit. We bring our decimal on up, and now we can think about 29 into 121. So here's 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. Hey, I think that's going to work. Let's try that. 4 times 9, 4 times 10 is 40. Take 4 away, you get 36, right? 36. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. There we go. Now when we subtract, we're going to have to borrow. Borrow. That becomes a 1. This becomes an 11. I know 6 plus 4 is 10, so 6 plus 5 must be 11. That's the difference, so we're good. Now we bring down our 8. And we know that 30 and 30 gets us 60. This is too shy of that, so let's try a 2. So I know 2 times 9 is 18. I'm going to go right over the top of my 3, make it go away. It becomes a 1. How about that? 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. There's no difference, so we're done with that. But it tells us in the instructions we need to check with multiplication. So we're going to take our quotient of 42 hundredths, and we're going to multiply that by our divisor of 29. Now we go 9 times 2, 18. 9 times 4, 36, 37. 37. Now we're multiplying by 20, so we have to have our 0. We have our 2, we just need our 0. Now we say 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 4, 8. Add them up. 8 and 0 is 8. 7 plus 3 is 10, so 7 plus 4 must be 11. Now we go 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 3 gets us to 12. 1, 2, 1, 8. 1, 2, 1, 8. But 2 decimal places, not here. There's 1 decimal place if we put it there, but we can't do that. We need 2. So 1, 2.8, 1, 2.8. It matches. Let's continue on ahead and let's try one of these. Use the equation on the left, so this one over here, and it's got an answer, to solve the problem on the right. And then we have to explain how we decided where to place the decimal in the quotient. So in this case, if we work out this problem, here's what it's going to look like. We're going to have 520 and 3/10. And we are dividing that by 12.1. If we want to get rid of the decimal, because we really have to in this case, we're going to multiply by 10, right? Because we want to get that decimal out of there. So it will also, too, if we say times 10, it's going to gain a decimal place. So we can just take the eraser and erase both decimals. I need to get my number back here that I partially erased, totally unintentionally. So thinking about this, 121. So think about it like a 12 and throw a 0 on the end. So I know that if I've got one of them, it's going to be 120. 12 times 2 is 24 with a 0 on the end. And I know 24 plus 12, 4, 5, 6. 3 plus 1 is 2. So if I have, oh, wait a second. It's actually, sorry, 2 plus 1 is 3. That should be a 3. 36, and we got to have a 0. Now if we add 12 to that again, we know 6 plus 2 is 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. Throw a 0 on the end. And then we add 12 more to that. I know 2 plus 8 is also 10. So it's going to carry over here. So the 1 from our 12 is 5. 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. So if we think about that, the 20, right? If we have 480 and we add 20 to that, we're at 500, and we add another 100 to get to 600, just to double check. Looking at this right here, we're thinking about 520. So if we've got 121, it doesn't fit into 52 without question. If we have one of them, two of them, three of them, four of them, it gets us 480. If we go one bigger than that, we're up at 600, which is definitely bigger than this. So let's try 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Let's try that. 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 again is 4. 484. We'll find the difference. I can't take 4 from 0, so it's going to have to borrow from this guy right here, making it a 1. And then this becomes a 10. And I know that's going to be a 6 different. And then, oh, I can't take 8 from 1. So we'll borrow from this guy. He becomes a 4. The 1 that we had over here becomes an 11. I know 8 plus 2 is 10. One more gets us up to 11. So 36 is the difference. And now we bring down the next 3. We're going to need something like this right here. So that's 3 of them. 360 gets us really close. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. So that's how they got it. And it's just plain old 43. It goes in 43 times. 121. So if we just did it backwards, look at that. We took this and we got our 43. How funny. So when you think about this, how many 40s are in 520? That was totally a screw up. Think about that. This is close to 50, and we're going into something in the hundreds. Interesting. How many 43s can you fit into 52? 43 into 52. It's only going to go in one time, right? So just kind of ignore what I did here because it was a mistake. We're going to have a 1 at the beginning, but it's going to be here right before the decimal because 43 goes into 52 one time. So then these other two numbers, you just follow along like that. We should have done it that way. See my 121 right here? Yep. So it changed everything as far as that goes, but I'm pretty sure we've got the right answer on that. Let's take a look at the next one just to kind of be on the safe side. So this one right here, if we're saying 19.8 divided by 36, 36 doesn't fit into 19. So now we're thinking, how many 36s go into 190? I know 3 times 3 is 9. So, what about 3 goes into that? That's going to be close to 6, right? Because 6 times 3 is 18. That's where this 0.5 comes in. So if we're going to go 36 into 90, it's not going to fit. It's going to be smaller than 1. Now if we're thinking 3 0 goes into 190, if you wanted to kind of estimate like that. So we know it's going to go in at least one whole number, right? Because 3 times 6 is 18. So this is probably going to go like this. It's probably going to be 5 times, and then 3/10. Let's check our work. So if we go 36 times 5.3, we know 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. And now we go 5, which is 50. So here's the 0 for our 50. 5 times 6 is 30, carry. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3, 15. 16, 17, 18. 18. Then we add them together. Here's an 8, here's a 0, here's a 9, here's a 1. We had one decimal place. That should have gone all the way around. 190 decimal 8. 190 decimal 8. That matches. So this is true. For your homework tonight, I'd like you to take a look at these. I'm skipping that word problem. Let's move to here. Estimate and then divide using the standard algorithm, and then check. So standard algorithm means use the house. That's all that means. I'd like you to pick one of them. Pick one. So this was complicated. We actually are at 16 minutes. So just pick one. Thanks.